Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. This is the 60th part of What If Deku Was Sanji's Reincarnation, My Heroes Reborn. The author of this great fanfic is enterally. Links to them and original story in the description. Chapter 60, Junior High Woes. The group arrived at the therapy room. They weren't really sure what was going to happen that day, especially since Hibiki had said someone else was running the group. They also knew that some of them would be sitting out for some reason. They all entered the room and found Sito there along with Hibiki. "Hey," said Sito. "Hey Sito," said Toru. "Okay. Izuku, Katsuki, you two follow me. You're sitting this session out because, well, it doesn't apply to you, and we have something else more important to talk about," said Hibiki. They looked at each there. "I'm the one leading it today, which is about on why it's not always a good thing to know someone from your past life," said Sito. "Oh, that's why we're sitting it out," said Izuku. "One of the reasons, there's another," said Hibiki. "Toru, it's optional today." "I'll stay in," said Toru. "By the way, this is Katsuki Bakugo, and this is Sito Korwa aka Dog Spirit. The others met him while ago, a party I held. He was a wizard in his past life," said Hibiki. "Whatever," muttered Katsuki. The three left the session. "So what are we doing on?" asked Izuku. "We're having a meeting. It's about something that has nothing to do with the fact that you're reincarnations. In fact, this meeting was being planned well before the camp," said Hibiki. Both of them were surprised. "I'll explain when we get to the meeting room, and we're not going to be the only ones in the meeting," said Hibiki. "Who will be there?" asked Izuku. "Your moms," said Hibiki. Izuku and Katsuki were shocked by this. They arrived to the meeting room that Nizu had set up, and indeed Inko and Mitsuki was sitting at a desk. "Thank you for taking out time for this meeting," sighed Hibiki. Izuku and Katsuki took seats next to their mothers. "All right, as mentioned in my calls, this has nothing to do the fact that they have remembered their past lives," sighed Hibiki, "and I was planning this meeting before the camp even happened." "So what is this about?" asked Mitsuki. "The crimes committed by Aldera Junior High," said Hibiki. He watched the mothers' reactions as well as the two boys. Meanwhile, in the therapy room, Sito got started. "Okay, like Izuku and Katsuki, I know someone from my past life," said Sito, "but first I will tell you a bit about my past life. I was a wizard by the name of Sirius Black. In my old world, magic was a huge secret, and people without magic, which called muggles, were completely kept in the dark except in certain cases." Mashireo froze, remembering that term. However, many witches and wizards despised muggles and saw them little more than animals and hated those with muggle blood. One wizard rose to powers and started a war leading those that despised muggles. Most of my family even sided with him. I won't bore you with the rest of the details, but there was a lot of death, including my best friend and his wife, and myself, who was murdered in a battle," said Sito. Everyone else looked at each other, then they remembered he was one of the few open about his death. "My cousin was in fact the one to kill me," said Sito. "Bellatrix was insane. He was incredibly devout to that cause and to the wizard." Mashireo tensed when he used the name Bellatrix. "Wait," said Mashireo, "are you saying that?" "Yeah, the villain that Mashireo fought at camp is Bellatrix's reincarnation," said Sito. "Are you serious?" asked Momo. "Yeah, it's not like with Hana that I have depression, or like those two where my death was kind of funny. No, the reason I'm open about my death is because I killed, and my killer is now a villain," said Sito. Back in the meeting room. "What do you mean by Aldera broke laws?" asked Inko. "There's quirk discrimination," said Hibiki. "How many times did you teachers just stand there when—" "What the fuck?" yelled Mitsuki, and interrupting him, "Why didn't either one of you say something?" "Sorry, Auntie," mumbled Izuku. "They were taking my side," muttered Katsuki, who wasn't happy with this conversation. To be fair, he didn't like to be reminded on how much he fucked everything up. I've managed to get a lot of details of the teachers either ignoring or outright covering up things that students with stronger quirks have done," said Hibiki. "So it's not just him?" asked Mitsuki. "No," sighed Hibiki. Hibiki slammed a few sheets of paper on the table. "After the bullying became public," said Hibiki, "Niza tasked me to investigate the school." "Why you?" asked Mitsuki. "Because I only had 5 students at the time and I'm here most of the time in case there is some sort of emergency or for advice in case they need it," explained Hibiki. "Or as backup in case something goes wrong with the support course," added Aiko. "That too, but the fact of the matter I had the time and means to investigate it," said Hibiki. "What the fuck?" yelled Mitsuki, who started reading about the cover-ups. Katsuki paled, thinking it was about that. "Mitsuki," said Inko. "They blamed an unseen villain attack on a poor girl getting beaten," growled out Mitsuki. "Wait, what?" asked Katsuki. Mitsuki pointed to what she was reading and Inko looked to see what it was. "I remember that. The school claimed that a villain had broken in when they found a girl was beaten," said Inko. "It was in your first year." "Oh yeah, they closed the school for a couple days," said Izuku. "But it was actually 2 of her fellow classmates trying to prove that she was worthless because of her quirk," said Hibiki. Katsuki's eyes widened. "She didn't even want to be a hero, all she talked about was trying to get a work license so that she could use her quirk for work when she grew up," said Hibiki. "They just beat her because they could?" asked Inko, horrified at something happen in the school. "Why the fuck did they even cover it up?" yelled Mitsuki. "Same reason they didn't lift a finger with Katsuki. Because they on track to go to a hero school. Not UA level of course, but they were still headed to a hero school," said Hibiki. "Did they even make to a hero course?" asked Inko, who was deathly pale. "Both of them did, but not the best schools of course, but they still got in," muttered Hibiki, "and both of them had 2 clean records, too." Katsuki was just in shock over all this. After all, he didn't even think about any of this. Meanwhile, in the therapy room. "So yeah, that's a reason why you can't be too jealous. Because there is a chance you might run into an enemy," said Sito. They all looked at Sito. "Are you planning to get revenge on her?" asked Achiko. "Oh no. Look, just because she killed me in my past life doesn't mean I'm going to avenge myself," said Sito. "Besides, there's a good chance that she might have been killed by my godson, meaning I was avenged. Or even Neville or Augusta were the ones who got her, they deserve a chance to kill her too. But the point is someone killed her and she deserved to die." "Were they close to you?" asked Momo. "Nope. They would be avenging someone else. She tortured some allies of mine into insanity. Neville was their son and Augusta was one of their mothers," explained Sito. There was an awkward silence. "But I do plan on stopping her," said Sito. "She needs to be stopped." "You're right," sighed Mashireo. "You were the one to fight her, weren't you?" asked Sito. Mashireo nodded. Back in the meeting room, Katsuki was shaking. "That's just one instance and probably the worst I have found. There might be others just as bad, but I have no idea," said Hibiki. "Would I have been allowed to take the exam if I was punished?" asked Katsuki. "If you learned your lesson, then maybe," said Hibiki. "I mean, I had enough problems on my junior high school record and I tried to get into many hero schools. He went to one that was near the bottom, but it was because of his abysmal grades, not because of a few fights or anything like that," explained Aiko. "Thank you, Aiko," muttered Hibiki with his eye twitching. Hibiki sighed. "It wasn't just the covert ups, quirk discrimination laws, anti-bullying laws, too many kids were hurt by this school and I need your help in this as well," he said. "Let me guess, you want us to find a bunch of the old moms and get their help," said Mitsuki. Hibiki nodded at her. I'm in contact with a couple of them, said Inko. I know quite a few of them as well, said Mitsuki. Nizu is of course helping out, said Hibiki, but I do want parents involved. I should have known something was wrong with that school, muttered Mitsuki. She placed her hand on Katsuki's head. I always found it odd that he never got in trouble. I mean, he got in trouble in elementary school plenty of times, but this little turd never got any notes or explaining why he was in detention, muttered Mitsuki. They just wanted to make sure that he was in UA for the bragging rights. And because they thought I was quirkless, they thought it was okay, muttered Izuku. Why bother with a seemingly quirkless kid when you can make sure that kid with the awesome quirk get into the best hero school in the country? Muttered Aiko. It really is disgusting. Hey, what you said during the exam, it was about this investigation, wasn't it? Muttered Katsuki. Izuku remembered when Hibiki learned about the suicide baiting and how he mentioned something but didn't explain what it was. It was, said Hibiki. Who knew about this? Asked Katsuki. Just Nizu and Mashireo, said Hibiki. Why him? Asked Katsuki. It seems kind of random, muttered Mitsuki. Well, you see, during the internship week he got lost and the transceiver got lost in the mail, sighed Hibiki. So after Hosu I had him intern under me to salvage the week, so I let him in on the investigation. Oh, that explains everything, said Mitsuki. What? Asked Inko. Trust me, you don't want to know about how lost Katsuki got, and from what I heard that kid's even worse, said Mitsuki. I see, said Inko. I'm going to leave you to talk about this. There's a room across the hall you can use if you want to have a 2-on-2 talk. It doesn't matter who talks, but yeah, said Hibiki. He left the two moms and sons alone. Inko. Zuku, do you think you can leave so I can have a word with my son? Said Mitsuki with an evil grin. Both Izuku and Inko paled at that grin and left the room. Hibiki wasn't that surprised by that. So they wanted to talk alone, did they? Said Hibiki. What the fuck were you thinking, you little shit? They heard Mitsuki yell. So, you going to change your mind about that dare? Said Aiko. No, but I am now half tempted, said Hibiki. Sounds about right, said Aiko. Inko and Izuku went to the other room to talk about what they had learned in the therapy room. But the point still stands, on the off chance that someone from your past life did reawaken, there's a chance it could be an enemy or just some guy you don't like, said Sito. I'm sure there's someone like that. Momo shuddered thinking about him. Mashireo sighed thinking about a few people. Achiko got along with most people in her past life and didn't really have jerks. Sito looked at Toru, who didn't look like she contemplating anything. I'm in contact with some of my past life friends, said Toru. I was wondering why it was optional for you, said Sito. Wait, what? Yeah, it's really weird, said Toru. You don't want to know, said Mashireo. Sounds about right, said Sito with his eye twitching. Wait, said Mashireo, you're the reason why Aiko had so much information about her. Yeah, said Sito. The second I found that she was reincarnated and remembered before me, I had to spread the word. After all, I heard stories about heroes managing to corner Priestess to interrogate her about past life details for certain things. That is how she knew about Jack Attack. But I was able to provide so much more. So they interrogate her? Asked Achiko. But of course she always got away, and I've only heard stories about how they got information about certain villains, and information about past lives in order to confirm things or settle bets. What? Asked the four students. You don't want to know, said Sito. Meanwhile, in the room that Izuku and Inko were talking in, while the two were crying, a lot. I'm sorry, Mom, cried Izuku. I didn't want to worry you about what happened. But it's my job to worry, said Inko. And what Katsuki did you? It's fine. I'm over it, cried Izuku. Are you sure? Cried Inko. Izuku nodded. He's really remorseful about what happened, and even before he got hit by the quirk he was trying to better himself, said Izuku. Really? Asked Inko. Izuku nodded. Toru and a couple other classmates have been helping him. Inko counted to cry, knowing that even with the pirate soul her son was still a sweetheart. That was when there was knock on the door. I don't want to interrupt anything, said Hibiki, but is there some kind of leak? Because there's a lot of water coming out from under the door. They both looked down at the floor and that there was a good couple of inches covered in their tears, causing the mother and son to sweat drop. It happened again, said Inko, wiping away her years. Yeah, sighed Izuku. In the other meeting room, Mitsuki was still scolding her son. Were you ever that close in beating up Izuku just because you thought he shouldn't be a hero and because you thought he was quirkless? Asked Mitsuki. I bet you were. I mean, you little shit, that I. Enough! Yelled Katsuki. You don't know what I've been fucking going through the past several months. When that came out, almost everyone in school fucking hated me. Only 3 of my classmates wanted anything to do with me. For months I was the most hated person in school. Not to mention I forgot a lot of the stuff I did to him. It was just a normal day for me. And I did horrible things. And you want to know, I've been feeling even worse after remembering my past life. Izuku was practically my brother in my past life, and I made his life a living hell. I've rage-rated everything. And learning all this is just fucking make me feel worse. And I don't need this shit from you. Mitsuki looked at her son, who appeared to be close having a breakdown, and combined with him actually using Izuku's name, she knew he was being serious. Katsuki got up and decided to leave the room. I don't care if they're to blame, just do whatever you fucking want, said Katsuki. He left the room, walking past Hibiki. Did they fucking cry too much again? Asked Katsuki, noticing the puddle. Yeah, said Hibiki. Is Inko okay? She has been known to pass out from dehydration from crying too much, said Mitsuki. She's fine, said Hibiki. Katsuki rolled his eyes and headed to the dorms. Back in the theory room. So yeah. I think you get the point that while having someone in your past life would cool, there's still a chance that it would be someone you hate, said Sito. The 4 nodded. But you don't think we'll even meet someone from our past lives? Asked Achiko. Who know with Priestess Quirk? I mean, what were the chances that those 2 knew each other even in their past lives? Asked Mashareo. He does have a point, said Momo. Yeah, said Toru. I have no idea what else to talk about, said Sito, and before you say anything, I don't know what they could be talking about, so don't ask me. I think I have an idea, sighed Mashareo, but I think it would be better to ask them. If they'll talk about it, said Momo. I'm sure they will, said Toru. That evening, Katsuki was lying on his bed while his cat was curled up on his chest while he petted her. There was a knock on the door. But Katsuki refused to answer. I will break down the door so that you will eat, called out Izuku in Sanji mode on the other side of the door. Katsuki got up and his cat gave him a sad look. Sorry, Firecracker, he said to the cat, who he did indeed name Firecracker. He opened the door and Izuku was holding a plate of dinner and cupcakes. Toru also made you cupcakes, said Izuku. So you wanted to talk about it, muttered Katsuki. Only if you do, sighed Izuku. I can't just blame them, muttered Katsuki. Izuku nodded as he took a seat in a chair. Katsuki knew it was better to eat because Izuku clearly had Sanji's food-based issues. They, like everyone else, wanted to ride my coattails. muttered Katsuki, that fucking school. I know, but you weren't the only one, said Izuku. What did they think was going to happen if I got punished with detention or something, that they wouldn't let me take the test? Even I know that stuff like that wouldn't have mattered. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that Kaminari and Mineta had gotten in trouble in junior high, said Izuku. Katsuki growled. Look, it will all work out, said Izuku. It really shouldn't, muttered Katsuki. Izuku sighed. The two mostly sat in silence with Katsuki eating dinner and the cupcakes. But still they learned that the school didn't do their jobs. Though hopefully this would help Katsuki with his problems with dealing with regrets, but who really knew, after all this entire thing was a mess. That will be it for this part. I hope everyone enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like and comment if you want part 61. If you want to hear more from me, subscribe. I hope to see you all in the next one.